Hello everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And I have a lot of announcements, including some updates about our lawsuit that I want to tell you about. So I want you to remember that, first of all, we post these videos on BitChute and also on Parler. And we have set up another platform, and there will be some videos there on the platform at WellnessForumHealth.com. I'm going to post one a week with information that I think is really good for you to know about, but this might not be the best way to relate it to you. So we'll start another library. So you can go to WellnessForumHealth.com, and you'll see right where the video is, and it will have some information that I think that you really do want to know, but would not play very well on this channel, and I think you know what I mean by that. And then the other place that we have with some clandestine commentary or whatever you want to call it, the COVID files, is the newsletter, and you can subscribe to that anytime, free also, by emailing me at pampopper@msn.com. So free newsletter, free videos Tuesday through Friday, and then another bonus video every week that I'll post at WellnessForumHealth.com that you can go take a look at as well. The second thing I want to tell you, very excited about this, COVID Operation, our new book, Shane Pryor and I wrote it, is available. You can buy the paperback on Amazon. You can buy the Kindle version, the Apple version, and then if you want an autographed copy, you can call our office and order it. But it is time to buy COVID Operation. And I've said this many times, it's the story of what happened, and it's better than anything John Grisham could have made up. I mean, you can't come up with fiction that sometimes is as interesting as fact, right? So we're excited. I'm excited. I'm mostly excited that I don't have to be writing it anymore and doing things. It's much nicer to be on the go buy it and let me sign it side of it than it is on the let's create it from scratch. So anyway, really happy about that. Hope you enjoy reading it. I'm sure that you'll learn a lot of things, because there are just a lot of things that I haven't talked about in this venue for reasons I think you all understand. If you live in the Central Ohio area, a couple things. On Tuesday night, we do cooking classes and movies and potlucks, and any Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, please plan to be here. And starting this week on Thursday night at 6, we're going to have Make Americans Free Again gatherings at 6 o'clock. We just constantly hear from people how important gathering is to them. And it's important to me too. I mean, we're social creatures, human beings are. And so please do stop by. We have this wonderful, great big space here with food and all kinds of good things going on. So please come by. Speaking of gathering, it's about a month now until our fall conference, which will be our 25th anniversary celebration. We really are going to hold a conference. And last week I talked about Dr. Katz and his being a speaker, Dr. Ko and her work. She really has found something very, very effective cancer treatment, and I think everybody's going to be pretty interested in hearing what she has to say, and also what one of her assistants, who will be with her as well, who's been working on the research with her and actually treating patients. I think that you'll be very fascinated in what she has to say. And then a couple of other people I want to mention. Hans Diehl is going to be joining us from California, and he's the founder of the Lifestyle Medicine Institute and also the CHIP program, the Complete Health Improvement Program. He's the author of several best-selling books, and many people are familiar with the CHIP program. CHIP is offered in many churches around the country, in businesses, in medical offices, and there are dozens of published articles on the efficacy of the CHIP program for diet and lifestyle improvement, addressing conditions like heart disease and diabetes, etc. I've known Dr. Diehl for a long time, and he is one of my favorite people. He is such a kind, lovely gentleman who treats people very, very well, always has cared for people in a very special way. And I think you will enjoy not only hearing him speak, but the opportunity to get to know him better too. And Tom Renz, the attorney who filed the lawsuit in Ohio, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But Tom really has an interesting background, was the perfect attorney for the action that we filed, and he will be at the conference, and you'll have an opportunity to ask him questions and that sort of thing. So, so those are basically the announcements. Buy my book. Come to Wellness Forum if you live in the Central Ohio area, or you want to make a trip here for an evening of gathering and that sort of thing. And make sure that you're at our conference. It's going to be an amazing one. I want to get to the lawsuit in a minute, but before that, I want to talk to you a little bit about David Katz's article, Dr. Katz's article last week. He puts out an article every week. And I've mentioned before that one of the reasons I like Dr. Katz is the fact that I think he's such a reasonable person. I'm a polarizing person, and I recognize that. And there's, one of the things about the world is there are a lot of different kind of people, and isn't that nice, right? But Dr. Katz is a very measured person in what he says, and I think he's taken a very appropriate stand on this COVID issue. And so I'm going to share with you a couple of excerpts from his article last week. He says, tracking the pandemic trends from around the United States and throughout the world as best I can. Nobody can hope to keep up with the constant deluge of data and drama and dogma and diatribe, which I think are pretty good descriptions of what's going on. I incline toward the hope that COVID may be offering us a mulligan. Thus far, there's a vastly greater divide now than at the start of this between the case count trends and the casualty trends. Case counts are elevated, but the hospitals are not overwhelmed. Cases are spiking, but thus far, and for the most part, with isolated exceptions, fatality counts are not. And part of that is because of the level of testing that we're doing, which is unprecedented, particularly the testing of asymptomatic people. As fate would have it, the mulligan coincides with the release of the Great Barrington Declaration, a policy document issued by a triumvirate of epidemiologists from Harvard, Stanford, and Oxford. And as I write this, signed by nearly 6,000 public health professionals, I among them, meaning Dr. Katz, and over 12,000 medical practitioners from around the world. The document espouses focused protection of the vulnerable to minimize the harms of lockdown and infection alike. In other words, my words at the start of this, it espouses total harm minimization by means of vertical or risk stratified interdiction policies. I'm happy to go with focused protection, which is the term that's specifically used in the document. And he says, the idea is as robust as it is simple. Match the level of protection mediated by practices and policies to the level of risk. Do not overprotect those for whom SARS-CoV-2 is a trivial threat. Don't underprotect those for whom it's a lethal menace. And to this, I would add, what we're doing with children is completely inappropriate because their risk is almost zero. So we're overprotecting a group that is vulnerable, and that really isn't helping older people at all. The policies are, he says, assuming the pandemic is not about to end before we get the chance, how do we best avail ourselves of our mulligan opportunity and practice focused protection? And he says this comes with 4 policies and 2 personal behaviors. The policies are, use the data we've collated throughout the pandemic to risk stratify the population. Match our policies of protection and viral interdiction to risk with extreme protections where risk is extreme, minimal protections where risk is negligible. It will never be zero. And this is something that Dr. Katz acknowledges that I think we need to get others to talk about. If you're trying to do what's going on right now until we have eliminated all risk for all people, this literally will never end. And I don't think anybody, including some of the people that are for the current policies, think that this could go on forever. I mean, I just would like to meet the person who thinks that they want to live like this forever, right? And then standardize, support, explain, and enforce policies nationally. Closely monitor trends with the humility required to make on-the-fly adjustments, either by location or at scale as warranted, to ensure that the protection is always adequate and never excessive. The behavioral translation of focused protection involves, this is the personal responsibility part of it, knowing your personal risk tier and that of your loved ones, protecting yourself and your loved ones in accordance with the level of risk. And he goes on to say, COVID never warranted disdain nor panic. It warrants respect. Between now and the end of the pandemic, we seemingly have a second chance to respect the various ways the pandemic can harm us and minimize that toll. We'll simply have to learn from the follies of our recent history to exploit that opportunity. And so again, so one thing I want to say too, when we get to this Great Barrington Declaration, we have people saying that this is going to be the thing that changes everything, and I can assure you that it's not. And then we have people saying, well, you can't sign it because I don't agree with this or that. And I think that, again, let's be reasonable. Let's come to agree on some things, and let's look at the bigger picture. And I like Dr. Katz for his constant focus on the bigger picture and understanding that you can't do one-size-fits-all policies. We're overprotecting some, and we're destroying some people along the way. And I'll have more to say about that later in the week, as I almost always do. So we need to go about this in a different way. So that's what Dr. Katz has to say. Kind of what I've been saying all along. We don't want to ignore it. I've never proposed that. I think what we need to do is address it appropriately. That's what we're all saying. Okay, so here's an update to the lawsuit that got filed in Ohio. And you haven't heard anything for a while. One of the reasons is you get into all this procedural stuff, and if some night you can't sleep, you can go to makeamericans.freeagain.com and read procedural stuff and that sort of thing for some of these lawsuits. It really will put you right to sleep, but it's the big developments that people generally want to know about. And we post this kind of thing on our website. If there is something really notorious, go to makeamericans.freeagain.com, and you'll see on the menu bar off to the right is the Ohio lawsuit, and you can click on that and see exactly what's going on. So we posted this stuff yesterday. So as the state of Ohio continues its war against freedom, the elderly, and business throughout the state, we have amended our lawsuit to reflect the fact that the state has disregarded the law it has cited in its own orders. In Ohio, under Ohio Revised Code 11903G, an order issued under an emergency declaration can only last 120 days. After that, it cannot be reissued, even if it is altered, without going through the normal rulemaking process. This means that many or most of the rules issued under the COVID-19 emergency declaration are no longer valid. The state must be aware of this, since the rule was mentioned in a number of orders. We are not sure why the state continues to illegally wage war on the people and businesses of the state of Ohio, but hope to see that end soon. It appears that the entire reopen plan is void, since it is simply an amendment to the close down, said Attorney Tom Renz. That's the person I was talking about earlier, who's the attorney who filed this and will be at our conference in the fall. So, if the normal rulemaking process, just so you know, requires the state to disclose facts and science behind the rule, then also allows for public comment. If, as the governor says, the state is following the science and doing the will of the people, there really is no reason why this process has not been used, given that the COVID response now is 6 months in. Also, as governors and municipalities continue to take unjustified actions to protect people from a disease roughly as dangerous as the early flu, Ohio stands up and Make Americans Free Again has partnered to assist other states in fighting for freedom. And we're going to be announcing that a second state will be helping. So anyway, this is the latest here, and we'll keep you posted. And in between, because I film these videos a week in advance, and I know it's not the best way to do it sometimes, but it's all that I can do. I mean, I'm juggling a lot of things here. Doing the best I can, folks, I really am, and I'd rather put out more content than less, because I think people need it. So anyway, there will invariably be some updates, and we will put them on the MakeAmericansFreeAgain.com website. And you can also donate to the legal fund on that website now as well. So stay tuned. There will be more announcements, and it's going to get very interesting out there. One last thing. Some of you, I get a lot of emails from people, and I try to answer all that I can. Please understand that if you keep asking me the same question, at some point in time I'm going to stop answering, because with the thousands of them coming in, I think it's more important that everybody gets an answer than that somebody gets the same question answered 11 times. So keep that in mind. And the second thing is that I know so many of you are just so angry and pent up, and I know you want to do something yesterday. And we we really are doing the best we can here to organize so that we can be effective in helping you in other states. One of the things I've said is that it's very easy with something like this going on to be busy but not necessarily effective, and what we're trying to be is busy but effective. Okay, so stay tuned. I know you're all anxious, and we're gonna get this done everywhere as soon as we possibly can. All right, as usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy learning more about this. Make sure that you subscribe if you're interested in newsletter. Please send me an email, and if you want to see the prohibited video, go to WellnessForumHealth.com, and it's there. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.